Caden Stroud's 3 sets of eyes were fixed intently on the holographic projection, each pair narrowing in disbelief. The anomalies had materialized from nowhere. 13 black vessels slicing through the void of space like daggers cutting through silk. Their design was not just unknown, it was beyond comprehension. No, it was more than unfamiliar. It was entirely impossible. "Magnify Sector 7, he ordered sharply, his primary voice commanding, while his secondary murmured, "This must be a sensor malfunction." Lieutenant Commander Seraphine leaned forward, her crimson scales shimmering under the blue glow of the command center's lights. "Magnification complete, High Commander," she reported. "And I've conducted 3 diagnostic sweeps. The readings are accurate." "This is absurd," Caden Stroud's tertiary mouth clicked in irritation. "Nothing can bypass the Obsidian Dominion's detection grid, especially not 13 vessels of this size." The ships were stunning in their brutal beauty, obsidian hulls with sharp angles that seemed to drink in the surrounding starlight. There were no visible propulsion systems, no energy signatures to speak of. They just were, where a moment before, there had been only the emptiness of space, positioned near the outer defense perimeter of Nexus Station, the crown jewel of the Obsidian Dominion. Where did they come from? Admiral Jackson Hayes's booming voice echoed through the command center as he entered, his massive form casting shadows across the strategy table. His question wasn't aimed at anyone in particular, but it hung in the air, heavy with the weight of uncertainty. "Unknown," Seraphine's voice wavered slightly. "They appeared simultaneously at exactly 0834 hours. No warp signatures, no jump distortions. One moment, there was nothing, and the next, this." Caden Stroud's skin rippled with a wave of unease. "Have they responded to our hails?" "No, High Commander," came the reply. "We've transmitted on all standard frequencies. They are receiving our signals but are not acknowledging them." The room fell into silence, broken only by the soft hum and beeps of the command center's systems. Caden Stroud exchanged a brief glance with Admiral Jackson Hayes, their shared understanding transcending words. Both had served the Obsidian Dominion for over 2 centuries. "There's something oddly familiar about those designs," Jackson Hayes said after a long pause, his deep voice low and rumbling like distant thunder. "Something from a long time ago." Caden Stroud was about to brush the comment aside when one of the junior officers, a young Zalorian named Zell, spoke up from his station. "High Commander, the vessels are changing configuration on the holographic display." The 13 ships were indeed shifting. What had once been sleek, predatory silhouettes now unfolded like deadly flowers, revealing weapon systems that pulsed with an eerie crimson glow. "Activate defensive protocols now," Caden Stroud barked, but even as the words left his mouth, he feared it was already too late. Admiral Jackson Hayes stood frozen, his forearms rigid at his sides. "By the Void," he whispered in disbelief. "It can't be." "What can't be?" Caden Stroud demanded, panic creeping into his voice. "Those markings on the hull," Jackson Hayes pointed, his large hand trembling as it indicated the central ship's bow. "Magnify." The display shimmered and focused on a symbol etched into the obsidian surface, a stylized image of a planet with a single moon, encircled by stars. "This is impossible," Jackson Hayes continued, his voice hollow and trembling with dawning terror. "That's the emblem of the Starborn Defense Legion. Those are human ships." The command center erupted into a frenzy of confused murmurs. Caden Stroud's heart skipped a beat. "Humans?" Lieutenant Commander Seraphine's voice cracked with disbelief. "But they've been extinct for 3 millennia. "Apparently not," Caden Stroud replied grimly, as the first communication ping finally echoed through their systems. "And they've come back." Flashback to Earth's destruction, 3,000 years ago. Grand Admiral Colton Drake stood motionless on the observation deck of the Heem's flagship, the Inevitable Conquest, observing with cold satisfaction as the blue-green planet burned beneath him. His 6 limbs were clasped behind his back, posture flawless, fitting for the architect of the most significant military conquest in the Obsidian Dominion's entire 10,000-year history. "The human defense fleet has been entirely neutralized," Commander Kira Daniels reported, her voice full of awe. "The casualty report indicates we've lost only 23 vessels out of our 700-strong armada, along with their orbital stations." Colton Drake didn't look away from the spectacle below. The atmosphere of Earth was now ablaze with firestorms as the Korath's plasma bombardment rained down, continuing without mercy. "All 17 have been destroyed," he replied. "The last one, Hope's Cradle, tried to escape, making a desperate jump to their outer system. We intercepted it before it could clear the gravity well. Colton Drake allowed himself a small nod of approval. And the planet's surface? We've eliminated all major population centers as per your orders, Kira Daniels confirmed. Extinction level event achieved. The few remaining pockets will suffocate when the atmosphere becomes unbreathable in about 72 hours. Kira Daniels hesitated before adding, though there were reports of strange energy readings just before we initiated the final assault. Several small vessels might have slipped through our blockade. For the first time, Colton Drake turned to face his subordinate. His four eyes narrowed with suspicion. Escape to where? We've mapped their entire system. There's nowhere they can hide. Unknown, Grand Admiral, Kira Daniels answered. The readings were anomalous. They didn't match any known propulsion methods. Our analysts are still trying to decipher the data. Colton Drake waved his limb dismissively. Irrelevant. If any survived, they're inconsequential. It's just a handful of refugees with nowhere left to go. The human threat is finished. He turned back to watch as another continent was consumed in flames. Their resistance was more than we expected, he mused. Who would have thought such a primitive species could destroy 3 of our capital ships? They were surprisingly resourceful, Kira Daniels agreed. The Council was right to order their preemptive destruction. Below them, a massive explosion erupted, swallowing what had once been the northern hemisphere of Earth. The orange glow of the burning planet was a rare moment of pure satisfaction for Grand Admiral Colton Drake, a fleeting glimpse of triumph as he stood with his 6 limbs clasped behind his back. Earth's coordinates were logged in the Forbidden Zones registry. No Vroka vessel is to approach this system again, he ordered. Let their world become a tomb, and their memory fade into nothingness. As he spoke, neither he nor his subordinate noticed the small data packet transmitted from Earth's surface in the final moments before its destruction. It traveled on frequencies undetectable by the Obsidian Dominion's sensors, carrying with it the combined knowledge of humanity, their history, their culture, and one final promise: we will return. As the last human city on Earth crumbled to ash far across the galaxy, the data packet reached its destination, a secret facility where 3-generation ships had already begun their long journey into the unknown, carrying with them the seeds of humanity's vengeance. 3,000 years. That was how long they would remember. That was how long they would prepare. That was how long the Obsidian Dominion would enjoy its victory before judgment would come. First encounter with the returned humans. Incoming transmission, announced Lieutenant Commander Seraphine, her voice strained with tension. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. High Commander Caden Stroud straightened his posture, an attempt to project confidence he didn't feel. Put it through. The holographic display at the center of the command chamber flickered, and suddenly a figure appeared. Bipedal with smooth skin, devoid of scales or exoskeleton, 2 eyes instead of multiple sets, small flat teeth instead of fangs. By all appearances, soft and vulnerable. A human. The being wore a dark uniform with silver accents, a series of symbols across the chest, presumably denoting rank. Their face was framed by short hair, the color of space itself. But what struck Caden Stroud most were the eyes, cold, calculating, like a predator sizing up its prey. This is Fleet Admiral Liam Hawke of the Earth Reclamation Force, the human said, their voice steady and almost pleasant. No delay in the translation. They spoke perfect standard galactic. I'm here to speak with whoever represents the leadership of the Obsidian Dominion. Admiral Jackson Hayes stepped forward, standing beside Caden Stroud. How is this possible, he whispered. The humans were exterminated. Their planet was reduced to cinders. The human on screen smiled, but the expression never touched those predatory eyes. I can hear you, Admiral. Your whisper falls within standard human hearing range, they said. The smile widened slightly, and then, and to answer your question, yes, you did try to exterminate us. You just didn't try hard enough. Caden Stroud felt a cold ripple run through his 3 hearts. I am High Commander Caden Stroud of Nexus Station, senior military representative of the Obsidian Dominion in this sector. Your presence here is unexpected. I bet it is, Liam Hawke replied with a short, sharp laugh. 3,000 years is a long time to think you've gotten away with genocide. Must be quite the shock to see us again. 3,000 years is also a long time to hold a grudge, Caden Stroud countered, trying to regain his composure. None alive today were part of what happened to your homeworld. Oh, that's where you're wrong, Commander. Liam Hawke's expression hardened. Several members of your High Council were junior officers during the Earth campaign. Your historical records are quite thorough, even if they're not publicly accessible. We've had time to do our homework. Admiral Jackson Hayes stepped forward. How did you survive? Where have you been hiding all this time? Hiding, Liam Hawke scoffed. No, evolving, growing, preparing. They gestured and the view expanded, showing more of the bridge. Other humans moved with efficiency at various stations. Their movements were precise, their technology clearly advanced far beyond what the Obsidian Dominion had faced 3 millennia ago. What do you want? Caden Stroud asked, though he feared he already knew the answer. Justice, retribution, pick your synonym. Liam Hawke leaned forward slightly, but their tone softened. I'm not unreasonable. I'm willing to negotiate terms. Terms? Caden Stroud repeated, the word tasting foreign on his tongue. Yes, Liam Hawke said, voice now firm. Surrender the individuals responsible for the decision to destroy Earth. Acknowledge your crimes against our species in the galactic record, and cede control of our ancestral system back to humanity. Do that, and we won't be forced to demonstrate exactly how much more advanced we've become during our exile. The command center fell into stunned silence. Even the usual background hum of the system seemed to fade into the background. That's impossible, Admiral Jackson Hayes rumbled. The High Council would never agree to it. Your ships appeared from nowhere, Caden Stroud interrupted, his tactical mind working furiously. Our sensors detected no approach. How? Liam Hawke's smile returned, this time with genuine amusement. We call it void folding. It's what happens when a desperate species spends 3,000 years focused on a single goal, finding a way back to deliver justice to those who tried to erase them from existence. The human paused, then added, You have 6 hours to consider our terms. After that, we begin our demonstration, starting with Nexus Station. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the command center in a stunned silence. Lieutenant Commander Seraphine spoke first, breaking the silence. Reinforcements are at least 12 hours away, she reported, her voice tight with uncertainty. Caden Stroud turned to Admiral Jackson Hayes. Get me a direct line to the High Council, now. And if they refuse the humans' terms? Jackson Hayes asked, his voice heavy with dread. Caden Stroud looked back at the holographic display of the 13 Obsidian ships, now surrounding Nexus Station in a perfect sphere. A cage of death. Then we learn whether our ancestors should have been more thorough. Confrontation and revelation of human survival hours into the 6-hour ultimatum. A small shuttle departed from the lead human vessel, its destination Nexus Station's primary diplomatic bay. Caden Stroud had received his orders from the High Council. Stall, gather information, and under no circumstances reveal weakness. This is lunacy, Admiral Jackson Hayes muttered as they waited in the diplomatic reception chamber. Allowing them onto the station, they could be carrying any number of biological weapons. They passed through 3 decontamination fields and 2 scanner arrays, Caden Stroud replied, though he shared the Admiral's concerns. Besides, if they wanted to destroy us, those ships could have done so the moment they arrived. The doors to the chamber slid open with a hiss, and 4 humans entered. 3 flanked a central figure, unmistakably Fleet Admiral Liam Hawke in person. Their presence was even more unnerving than before. Their movements were too fluid, too precise, their eyes constantly darting, scanning, and categorizing, as if they were analyzing everything they saw. These were not the primitive humans of the historical records. I appreciate you agreeing to this meeting, Fleet Admiral Liam Hawke said, acknowledging each person in turn with a slight nod. You didn't leave us much choice, Caden Stroud replied coldly. The High Council has reviewed your demands and finds them problematic. Liam Hawke's lips twisted into that same cold smile from the transmission. I expected nothing less, which is exactly why I brought something to help change their minds. With a casual wave, one of the other humans, a tall figure with skin the shade of burnished copper, stepped forward. In his hands, he held a small metallic sphere, which he placed gently in the center of the conference table. The sphere hummed to life, and a 3-dimensional stellar map of the galaxy sprang to life before their eyes. Before we begin, Liam Hawke continued, let me introduce my colleagues. He gestured toward the humans at his side. This is Commander Marcus Quinn, our Chief Tactical Officer. The copper-skinned human gave a respectful nod. To my left is Dr. Sophia Carter, our Chief Scientist. A human woman with long dark hair and piercing eyes inclined her head slightly. And Major Tyler West, head of special operations. The last of the group, a broad-shouldered man with a scar running from eye to chin, stood stoic and silent. Caden Stroud noticed that all four of them wore small devices at their temples, subtle neural interfaces, technology he couldn't identify. "Now," Liam Hawke said, gesturing to the map, "let's discuss why your council should reconsider our terms." The map zoomed in, focusing on 13 specific locations scattered across the galaxy. Each one was marked by a pulsing red indicator. "What are those?" Admiral Jackson Hayes demanded, his voice sharp. Dr. Sophia Carter spoke for the first time, her accent something unfamiliar to Caden Stroud's ears. "Those are the locations of the 13 human colony clusters we've established over the last 3 millennia." "That's impossible," Caden Stroud blurted. "We would have detected them." "Just as you detected our ships before they appeared around your station?" Commander Marcus Quinn raised an eyebrow with a slight smirk. "We've learned over time that visibility means vulnerability. The 3-generation ships that escaped Earth's destruction carried 50,000 humans," Liam Hawke explained, her voice steady. "Today, our population exceeds 8 billion, spread across 47 worlds in these 13 star clusters." The map shifted again, now highlighting bands of space connecting the clusters. "These are our transit corridors, regions of space where we've perfected void folding, allowing us to move instantly between our territories. You've never detected us because, in essence, we exist just slightly out of phase with normal space-time." Major Tyler West spoke next, his voice low and gravelly. 3,000 years gives you plenty of time to improve," he said. His fingers tapped the device at his temple. "To upgrade your ships, your weapons, your entire way of life." Caden Stroud felt a chill creep through his 3 hearts. "You're not entirely human anymore, are you?" "Genetically, we are still human," Dr. Sophia Carter responded, a hint of pride in her tone. "But we've learned to integrate technology with biology in ways your scientists haven't even imagined. The neural interfaces are just the beginning." "We've spent 3,000 years remembering Earth," Liam Hawke said quietly. 3,000 years preserving what was lost while evolving into what we needed to become. Every child born learns about the homeworld. Every technological advance was measured by one question: will this help us bring justice to those who destroyed everything we were? The map shifted once more, this time revealing the locations of every major Obsidian Dominion world and installation, information that should have been impossible for outsiders to acquire. "We've been watching you for centuries," Commander Marcus Quinn explained, his voice matter-of-fact. "Your security protocols are impressive, but they're designed to stop threats you understand." Caden Stroud exchanged a look with Admiral Jackson Hayes. The gravity of the situation hit them both like a hammer. "What exactly are you saying?" Jackson Hayes asked, his voice tight with disbelief. "I'm saying," Liam Hawke replied, leaning forward and pressing her hands flat against the table, "that this isn't a negotiation. It's a courtesy. Either the High Council meets our demands or," Liam Hawke glanced at the device on her wrist, "in 1 hour and 47 minutes, we begin dismantling the Obsidian Dominion, one installation at a time, one fleet at a time, one world at a time." "You would commit the same crime you accuse us of?" Caden Stroud asked, horrified. "No," Liam Hawke's voice hardened, cutting through the tension. "We're giving you a choice. Your ancestors gave us none." Battle sequence. The Obsidian Dominion's response came 15 minutes before the deadline expired. A fleet of 76 warships dropped out of hyperspace, emerging at the edge of the Nexus sector. There was no warning, no further attempts at diplomacy, only the cold, calculated advance of a regime that had ruled through fear for 10,000 years. "Well, that answers that question," Fleet Admiral Liam Hawke remarked dryly, as alarms blared throughout the human flagship, the Nemesis. "The Council chose war." Commander Marcus Quinn's fingers danced over his tactical display. "Obsidian Dominion fleet, 14 dreadnoughts, 22 cruisers, 40 frigates. Standard assault formation. Weapons are hot, shields at maximum. Were you expecting anything different?" Major Tyler West asked, his scarred face illuminated by the red glow of battle lights. "Honestly, no." Liam Hawke's voice was calm, almost casual. "But I would have respected them more if they'd tried diplomacy for a little longer." High above Nexus Station, the Obsidian Dominion fleet surged toward the 13 human vessels, weapons charging. The station's defense grid came online, activating a formidable array of particle cannons and shield generators. From the station's command center, Caden Stroud watched the unfolding scene, a mixture of dread and resignation flooding through him. "So this is how it ends," Admiral Jackson Hayes said, his tone grim. "Whatever happens next is on their heads." The first salvos from the Obsidian Dominion fleet shot across the void, dazzling beams of energy that should have vaporized the smaller human vessels. But instead, the beams vanished just meters from the Obsidian hulls, as if swallowed by the very fabric of space itself. "What in the seven hells?" Lieutenant Commander Seraphine gasped. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Dr. Sophia Carter monitored her systems with a barely contained smile. "Phase shift defenses are working flawlessly," she observed. "Their weapons are passing through our folded space envelope like they aren't even there." "Make sure to thank the R&D team when we get back," Liam Hawke remarked dryly, nodding at Commander Marcus Quinn. "Marcus, show them what 3,000 years of technological evolution looks like." "Gladly, Admiral." Commander Marcus Quinn's fingers moved with lightning speed over his console. The neural interface at his temple glowed a brilliant blue as he activated the Void Lances. The 13 human ships pulsed with raw energy, then impossibly flickered in and out of existence. Every time a ship vanished, a streak of what appeared to be liquid darkness emerged, shooting toward the Obsidian Dominion fleet. "By the Void," Admiral Jackson Hayes whispered from Nexus Station, staring in disbelief. "What in the stars is that?" As the dark streaks reached the Obsidian Dominion's front line, 14 colossal dreadnoughts, each the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons. Something unimaginable happened. The darkness touched the lead dreadnought, and it simply ceased to exist. There was no explosion, no debris. One moment it was there, the next it was gone, leaving only a faint cloud of elementary particles that rapidly dispersed. "Direct hit on the implacable doom," Commander Marcus Quinn reported, his voice cool and efficient. "Complete molecular disassembly." "The eternal victory and sovereign's might are next," Marcus Quinn added, a note of satisfaction in his tone. 2 more dreadnoughts blinked out of existence in the same way. The Obsidian Dominion fleet, now facing a threat they couldn't possibly comprehend, broke formation. Some ships turned to flee while others desperately continued their assault, firing weapons at targets that phased in and out of reality. On Nexus Station, chaos erupted. "Retreat!" Caden Stroud screamed, panic threading his words. "Order the fleet to retreat, now! We're being slaughtered." "The fleet admiral is requesting permission to use the Nova charges," Seraphine reported, her voice unsteady. "They want to detonate them near the human ships." Caden Stroud hesitated. Nova charges were planet killers, forbidden by Obsidian Dominion law except in the most extreme of circumstances. Their use so close to Nexus Station would likely destroy the station too. "Denied!" Admiral Jackson Hayes barked. "At this range, they'd kill us all." Another 5 Obsidian Dominion vessels blinked from existence, disappearing into clouds of dissipating particles. The remaining ships were in full retreat, but the Void Lances relentlessly pursued them. On board the Nemesis, Fleet Admiral Liam Hawke observed the battle unfold with cold efficiency. "Target the fleeing vessels first," she commanded. "No one can be allowed to escape." Admiral Jackson Hayes' voice crackled over the comms. "Nexus Station is hailing us. High Commander Caden Stroud is requesting an immediate cessation of hostilities. He's offering unconditional surrender." Liam Hawke paused, her eyes narrowing as she considered the situation. Then, with a slow nod, she responded, "Ceasefire. Let's hear what he has to say." The Void Lances retracted, and the human ships phased back fully into normal space. Of the 76 Obsidian Dominion warships, only 31 remained, all heavily damaged and retreating at full speed. Caden Stroud's holographic form flickered into existence on the Nemesis bridge. His scales were pale with shock, and his voice trembled as he spoke. "Fleet Admiral Liam Hawke," he said, barely able to hold his composure. "I speak now with the full emergency authority granted to me by Obsidian Dominion Protocol. In light of the demonstrated technological superiority of your forces, I offer the immediate and unconditional surrender of Nexus Station and all military assets in this sector." Liam Hawke remained impassive, and the High Council. "I've sent them the battle footage," Caden Stroud replied, his voice strained. "They've requested a direct communication channel with you." "Very wise of them," Liam Hawke remarked with a touch of sarcasm. She turned to Major Tyler West. "Tyler, secure Nexus Station. Commander Marcus Quinn, Keep pursuing the retreating vessels, but hold fire unless they fire first. It seems the Obsidian Dominion is finally ready to talk. Final showdown and consequences. The Grand Council Chamber of the Obsidian Dominion had never once hosted beings from outside its ruling species in its 10,000-year history. From this vaulted hall on the Nivhar throne world of Zor, the 7 High Counselors had decided the fates of countless civilizations. Today, that tradition would end. Fleet Admiral Liam Hawke stood at the center of the chamber, flanked by Commander Marcus Quinn, Dr. Sophia Carter, and Major Tyler West. Before them sat the 7 ancient beings who had ordered Earth's destruction 3 millennia ago. Each one still alive thanks to the Obsidian Dominion's life extension technologies. Behind the humans, a contingent of 20 soldiers in powered combat armor stood rigidly at attention. Their helmets concealed their faces, but not the lethal purpose of their stances. Grand Counselor Elias Vorn, the eldest and most powerful of the 7, leaned forward on his massive obsidian throne. His once vibrant crimson scales had dulled with age, fading to a muted maroon. His 6 eyes glared at the humans with open hatred. "You have forced this meeting through acts of war," Elias Vorn's voice thundered, shaking the chamber. 38 of our finest warships destroyed, Nexus Station occupied. You demonstrate power, human, but not wisdom. Liam Hawke's laugh echoed off the ancient walls, sharp and bitter, completely devoid of humor. "Wisdom? You speak to me of wisdom? Your wisdom was to exterminate our species rather than risk us one day challenging your dominance. How did that work out for you?" "We did what was necessary," Counselor Mirex replied, her voice like grinding stone. "Your species was unpredictable, adaptable, dangerous. Our predictive models showed a 97% probability that within 5 centuries, humanity would have rivaled our power. We acted preemptively." "And created the very enemy you feared," Dr. Sophia Carter chimed in, her tone almost poetic. Commander Marcus Quinn stepped forward, his voice cold as steel. He activated a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber. "We've occupied 17 key Obsidian Dominion installations across 6 sectors. Your remaining fleets are surrounded. Your communications infrastructure has been compromised. In short, your empire is already fallen. You just don't know it yet." Major Tyler West's gravelly voice rang out. "You have exactly 1 chance to survive what comes next." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of angry shouts and threats. The counselors leaped from their thrones, their fury palpable. Liam Hawke stood motionless, allowing them to vent for exactly 30 seconds before raising a hand. At her signal, the 20 human soldiers activated their advanced pulse rifles. The weapons hummed to life with an unmistakable charge. With a deadly quiet, the chamber fell silent. "Let me make this abundantly clear," Liam Hawke's voice rang out, sharp and cold, slicing through the stillness like a blade. "We are not here to negotiate the terms of our revenge. We are here to decide whether your species survives at all." Grand Counselor Elias Vorn sank deeper into his throne, his ancient eyes narrowing, his scales dimming with age and fury. "What are your terms?" "Simple," Liam Hawke replied, her words measured, the weight of centuries behind them. "The Obsidian Dominion, as a political entity, ceases to exist, effective immediately. All subjugated species are granted their independence. Your technological database is open to all former member worlds. Your military is disbanded." "That's extinction by another name," Counselor Brock Zane hissed, his voice dripping with venom. "Without the Obsidian Dominion structure, our home worlds will be overrun by a dozen former slaves seeking vengeance." "Perhaps you should have thought about that before enslaving them," Commander Marcus Quinn commented dryly, his tone cutting. Liam Hawke's gaze hardened, her next words deliberate. "As for your survival, you will be restricted to your 5 original home worlds. No military vessels, no weapons of mass destruction. A human oversight contingent will remain to ensure compliance." The chamber was still, the air thick with the weight of her words. The 7 ancient beings exchanged looks, as if trying to process what they were hearing. "And if we refuse?" Grand Counselor Elias Vorn's voice dripped with a cold challenge. Liam Hawke's face remained impassive, but her eyes were the only things betraying the steel in her resolve. "Then we finish what you started with Earth, but this time, we will succeed. You would destroy 5 worlds, billions of lives, and still claim you're morally superior," Counselor Ashervix challenged, his tone filled with disbelief. "No," Liam Hawke said quietly, her voice unwavering. "I've never claimed we are superior, just that we learned from the best. You taught us how to justify genocide. The only difference is, we would succeed where you failed." Major Tyler West stepped forward and placed a small device on the floor. A soft whirring noise filled the chamber as the device projected a countdown. 10, 959, 958. 10 minutes, Tyler West said flatly. "Accept the terms or we demonstrate our resolve on your homeworld of Zor." "This is outrageous!" Counselor Brock Zane shouted, his face contorted in rage. "You will not threaten us in our own—" 8 billion lives, Dr. Sophia Carter interrupted, her voice steady, cutting through the chaos. "That's how many humans would be alive today if you hadn't destroyed Earth. Every moment you waste in pride is costing your people dearly." The countdown continued, 721, 720, 719. Grand Counselor Elias Vorn's ancient eyes narrowed, his gaze locking on the humans as the realization began to settle in. The arrogance that had sustained him for 10,000 years was suddenly replaced by something far darker: fear. For the first time, he recognized that the extinction of his people was no longer a distant threat. "Stop the countdown," he commanded, his voice unexpectedly frail, heavy with years. "We accept your terms." "Say it," Liam Hawk demanded, her voice cold as ice. "Say exactly what you're accepting." Elias Vorn's scales rippled with humiliation. "The Obsidian Dominion surrenders unconditionally to humanity and accepts all terms as stated." The countdown froze at 342. "A wise decision," Liam Hawk said, her expression never wavering as she nodded to Major Tyler West. He deactivated the device, and the oppressive silence that followed was heavy with finality. "Humanity remembers its history, Counselor. I suggest you start remembering yours, especially the parts you tried so hard to erase." Epilogue: The New Galactic Order. 5 years after the fall of the Obsidian Dominion, the galaxy had transformed. The massive statue of Fleet Admiral Liam Hawk now stood at the heart of the former council chamber. It was a reminder of how quickly 10,000 years of tyranny had crumbled beneath the righteous vengeance of a species thought long extinct. Caden Stroud, now serving as the transitional coordinator between the former Obsidian Dominion worlds and the newly formed Galactic Concordat, observed the busy chamber from a balcony. Where once 7 thrones had loomed large, now representatives from over 300 formerly subjugated species conducted the business of rebuilding a galaxy. "Quite the change, isn't it?" came a familiar voice from behind him. Caden Stroud turned to find Admiral Liam Hawk, now Supreme Consul Liam Hawk, approaching. 5 years had added streaks of silver to her once dark hair, but her posture remained as unwavering as ever, her eyes still sharp with purpose. "Supreme Consul," Caden Stroud greeted, bowing respectfully. "I didn't expect you back from Earth for another week." "The terraforming is ahead of schedule," Liam Hawk replied, coming to stand beside him at the railing. "The atmospheric processors have finally cleared the last of the radiation. In another decade, our ancestral home will be habitable again." Below them, representatives from worlds that had once been bitter enemies were engaged in discussions, former slaves negotiating as equals with their former masters. "You've created something remarkable," Caden Stroud admitted, his voice tinged with respect. "Most conquering species would have simply replaced one tyranny with another." Liam Hawk's lips quirked into that now familiar half-smile, though it was laced with something almost imperceptible, a sense of pride. "That was never our goal. We didn't fight for 3,000 years just to become the thing we hated." "And yet," Caden Stroud noted carefully, "the human oversight contingents remain on all former Obsidian Dominion homeworlds. Your ships still patrol our systems." "Trust takes time to build," Liam Hawk replied calmly, her gaze turning to the bustling chamber below. "Especially after 10,000 years of oppression, but the oversight will end eventually." A comfortable silence settled between them as they observed the transformation below. Finally, Caden Stroud asked the question that had lingered in his mind for 5 years. "The countdown device in the council chamber, was it real? Would you really have destroyed Zor if they had refused your terms?" Liam Hawk turned to face him, her expression unreadable. "What do you think?" Caden Stroud considered the question carefully, his voice thoughtful. "I think you would have. But I also think you would have done it because you saw no other choice. You gave them a chance to surrender and they didn't take it." Liam Hawk's gaze softened, just for a moment, before her eyes returned to their calculating focus. Maybe, but that doesn't change the fact that we won. I believe humanity became whatever it needed to be in order to survive, Liam Hawke said, her voice carrying a quiet intensity. Sometimes the most potent weapon isn't strength, but making your enemy believe you're capable of the same ruthless actions they would take in your place. A genuine smile spread across her face. You're catching on, Coordinator Caden Stroud. It's exactly why you're in this position now. From the chamber floor, Commander Marcus Quinn, now Ambassador Marcus Quinn, raised a hand, signaling the beginning of the session. Today, the Concordat's first binding charter would be ratified, a new constitution built on principles of mutual respect, collaboration, and the shared desire to rebuild. 3,000 years, Liam Hawke reflected, her eyes lingering on the statue of herself that stood proudly below. That's how long we remembered. That's how long we prepared. Turning to Caden Stroud, she extended her hand in the human gesture of partnership. Let's hope the next 3,000 years will be remembered for something better than vengeance. Caden Stroud grasped the offered hand with one of his scaled appendages, feeling the immense weight of history settle into the simple act, from annihilation to renaissance. Perhaps that, Caden Stroud thought, was humanity's true victory. Perhaps, Liam Hawke agreed, her gaze shifting toward the horizon, her eyes full of a quiet pride as they swept across the new galactic order. This was a galaxy rebuilt from the ashes of Earth's destruction. Or perhaps the victory is remembering who we are, even when the rest of the galaxy tried so hard to make us forget.